Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today is going to be, I guess, the second half of the alternate teams that you can use to beat EX3 beatdown battle to get that last dupe of Ranga to get him to, 100 or 120, depending on where you are and how much you parallel processed. This video will be focused on green orb teams. So we're trying to, like, we've done orange teams, we've done the blue teams now, this is the green teams. Normally they're not supposed to work, but we somehow make them work. As a heads up, because I split the blue and green orb teams into two separate videos, some of, like, the intros to the teams will sound kind of funky because they'll be out of order. Like, this will video be, like, team 3 of 4 and there's only 3 teams here. Don't pay attention to that. Just focus on the gameplay and the teams that I'm actually using. The order of what happens doesn't matter. But with that out of the way, let's get started with our technically first team. Alright, team number 3 is the World of Fantasy team using Protector Frey, who is another protector that gives the extra damage versus fire units, except she gives everybody crit, which is really not what you want to do here when you have no way to lower the crit resistance, and Millam's extra crit damage is conditional and costs points, and is really maybe not that great. So we make a couple misplays here, because honestly, without the crit, we would actually do a lot more damage, and we'll see that in full action here between like turn 4 and then turn 6 or something like that. And you'll see just the damage drop-off that Alice has between just the Pierce buff and then the Pierce and the crit. It's actually pretty crazy. So, turn 1, we're again sending 4 oranges. We're going to bring in Millam and Alice since they have type advantage. And Xion, with her trait, gets extra ult gauge for the first, 3 turns. And that's great because with these 2 oranges, we're going to get her ult next turn and everything's going to work out hunky-dory. And we've already done quite a bit. Like, I mean, that's a lot of damage off, 8 orbs, technically. None of which got a super huge, bonus buff. But here, we're going to run into a few issues now, because we have no more oranges that are nerfed, or, full damage. We have only a bunch of greens, but we are able to use Isis and her green buff, which is why she is here, to help kind of offset the nerf that the Golem has in this stage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We really would like to see an EX ult for Millam, but with no one to swap the ult out like the hero, it doesn't really work that well. So we're gonna have to just live with it. Xion is done stacking now with her Pierce power buff, and she is skill fused. So if you don't have Xion skill fused, you could probably bring somebody else if you want. I just brought her because we are already gonna Pierce here. So it makes it easier to do so, but we do nerf ourselves because of the crit. So here, we have the 1 orb, but we're gonna use Frey, and now the amount of damage we do is terrible, absolutely terrible. So it is what it is. So 600, 1500 damage. If we didn't have the crit, we'd probably do double that or something. And so that's also unfortunate counterattacks. It's just the unfortunate side effect of always having crit on when you use Frey, which I think is what we're going to run into as far as a future problem with the new Millam protector. Yes, she does change orbs and gives you points, but she also gives magic allies Pierce. And if by chance there's a stage that is orange focused but not Pierce, then all you're doing is nerfing yourself. And oranges already don't give you a lot. So it's very hard to play around with that. And in that case, you're probably better off using Toa. Getting extra skill points with having both the other benefits of what Millam does without nerfing yourself in a potential scenario where you have Pierce and you don't want it. But here's 3 ults. We're going to use the crit. We've got the Pierce buff. We've got Millam's buff, other buff active now, and Xion's Pierce power buff. And now let's just see Alice's damage right here. Alice by herself. She does 16k. Now that's not very good. Xion does 27k. That's not much better. Millam does 85k. That's pretty good. But 16k, I need you guys to remember that number, 16k for Alice. So we got a pretty good hand right here, right? Look at that. Everything worked out just like just like I wanted it to. So we'll bring Shizu in for, I think, Shion, because she only has one orb. And also her skill change is, base cost, which makes things quite easy. So here we go. We no longer have the crit, and how much damage do we do now? 2,200, 3,900 damage right there. So already quite a bit more by not having the crit on, and that's just by virtue of not nerfing ourselves into the ground. Now, thankfully, he hit Milim there. If he had hit Shizu, I'm fairly certain she would have died. But let's go ahead and swap you out. And then I think we just go ahead and send these Alice orbs while using the green buff. Just gets a little bit extra. And then the attack buff on Milim, and then the crit. So we're going to hurt ourselves again. We didn't really need to use the crit buff for anything from Milim. It is just a way to make us do slightly more damage. 17k, and we're looking good. And now we have the Alice ult, plus the Shizu ult in the back, which we know Shizu's not going to do much. But we're not going to use Frey here. We're just going to use the Pierce buff from Alice by itself. The Golem still has a crit resistance, so nothing's going to change except we're just not nerfing ourselves with the crit. And now Alice does 31k. Right? So we doubled our damage because we didn't crit there. But we had to use the crit because we needed the points. So it didn't really work out the way we wanted it to. But here we have another ult for Alice. We have an ult for Shizu. Cool beans, whatever. Alice is able to kill 36k. Went up a little more because we used an extra stack of Shizu's attack buff. So it can do it, but maybe not the best. Someone's fire alarm is going off. Alright, the next team is going to be the Goddess of Destiny team. Murin for the extra skill points that she gives on greens, plus the follow-up. The hero to kind of alleviate us probably having a Shuna ult very, very quickly. Fire Slime Rimu is here for our turn 1 orb change. Soka is more so here just for her attack buff, because her green orb changing is not going to be that efficient in a stage where greens are very heavily nerfed, and even with Rain's buff, it's not going to be that productive for you. So we're really going to mostly be using Shuna's Orb Steal more than anything else. So, and then Rain is also here, 1, because she's got the magic buff, 2, she's a magic unit, and 3, because she's water. So she's doing triple duty here, apparently. So turn 1, we are orb changing with Rimuru, and then we're going to take them out. We're going to get as much gauge as we can with Rain. We're leaving Shuna in the back to hopefully steal 3 into a 6 on her for next turn. And that's pretty much how this entire thing is going to run. We are magic, so we are doing additional damage. That's good, but also not good right there, because obviously I do want 4 orbs for Rain, but it does work out to where we have a perfect steal for Shuna, and we can't really pass that up. We're going to use the green buff here just so Shuna can get a little bit extra as far as protection and points and gauge is concerned in general. And probably could have gone without it, but oh well. So now we have the follow-up orbs, which again, because we're critting, are not going to do that much because of the crit resistance, but it's still decent damage right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, I mean, that's pretty good. But now, here we go. So, this is not really the best turn, except we can use the steal and the swap and the permanent greens for next turn, and then we can bring Rain in. Or, we could just send the entire hand and call it good, and then have an EX ult for Shuna, but we don't do that. We decide to get Rain's ult, because she's a little bit more important, and that does get her the EX ult, which means that Rain is done. She's ready to go. So now we just have to bring Shuna back in and get an EX ult for her, and then enough points to use the hero debuff, the Rain buff, the Shuna buff, and the Soka buff, which again isn't hard when you have a full hand of greens. So here, what we can do is not that great. Like, we could swap the orb. We could bring Shuna in, but it's not really that great. So we're gonna do this, and then we'll just, I think, send. Yeah, okay, so there we go. We'll send it. Well, Murin is off, but do I use her now? I don't know if I use her quite yet. I may hold it. Okay. I use it. Because she's going to have the crits. I'm pretty sure Rain still has it from the last time she was up, so she should be good to go. And it's only turn 4. We've done pretty good damage. Like the last team, Warriors Mine, we had to go to turn 7, turn 8 for that. And we were nowhere close to doing this much damage already. So, but now he does have a lot of guard, he has a lot of resistance. And we have triple ult, and we have 100 points. So we're pretty much ready to go. We're going to use the hero buff first. She's the least important unit out of this bunch because she's physical. And she's going to do the least amount of damage. Swap her out for Rain, use Rain buff, use a Shuna buff, use a Sokka buff. That, I believe, is 40% attack buff from Sokka. It's turn 5, so we're missing the full power Rain buff, but it doesn't really matter that much. Sokka, 18k. Shuna, 67k. And then Rain comes in with a 97k ult, and we are done. So, I mean, it relatively painless overall, and even without, a lot of dedicated orb changers, it did work out. So, that's Team 2. Let's move on to Team 3. Alright, the last team that we're going to use for this video is going to be the Dark 2.0 team, stacking magic damage with Veldora, alongside the permanent ult damage from Valentine, and then the temporary ult damage from Milim, and the dark attack from Shinsha, means that this team, should run fairly efficiently. We've got 3 orb changers here, Trya, and, the insane way that she can change orbs. Milim also has the special convert, and then Isis has the blue convert, but also the green buff, which will help offset the nerf that the greens get on this stage. Because on EX3, the golem only nerfs the gauges by 50%. And while you're still going to be missing the damage, at least we get, normal skill points, normal protection gauge, and normal ult gauge on the greens when that buff is active. So we're going to leave Valentine up front. We're going to try and get as much ult as we can with the other 2 primary DPSs, since Milim and Shinsha are both single targets. Technically, Isis is also a single target, but obviously she's going to have much lower stats, even at 120 versus my Shinsha. She'll just do inherently less damage because her ult multiplier is just lower in general as well. So here, I mean, we do have enough points to use like both of the special converts, and it will give us a 6-hand, but it also wouldn't... We can't use the Isis buff. So, I mean, we're going to do this anyways, and, either way, it worked. I mean, because Trya is just so good at changing green orbs, this will get us a few points. It'll get us, more importantly, a protector. And then hopefully we're just going to bank on getting good luck next turn so we can use the green buff and a bunch of greens, and then we could finally be moving. But we're still doing decent damage, and that's hilarious. So, you want greens? How about no greens? Yeah, sure. Alright, so we're going to use Shinsha's debuff, which gives extra skill points to every orb that's permanent, and also lowers crit resistance, which doesn't matter. Oh, we're quit. Okay, hold on. I always forget to screen these videos. Okay. I'm not even going to make a cut. We're just going to move forward. Wait, hold on. I guess I should check now. Alright, now we're good. I'm an idiot sometimes, you know that? Okay. Turn 1, guys! Oh my god! Alright. I mean, the strategy is still the same. We're still swapping in Shinsha and Milim for maximum protection, or maximum ult gauge. I guess this time we swapped Milim for the correct spot, so she gets 2 oranges now. But yeah, ignore everything I said in the beginning. That is an interesting hand. It also can work because we can take Shinsha out. Or we could just send the 3 oranges. Yeah, that's probably a better choice. And hopefully bring in a few more greens next turn. Or not. Okay, well now here I probably double orb change and use the buff, because we have 71 points, and that is enough to use everything. So, I mean, if I'm smart, I just use both the special converts from Trya and Milim and call it good, which is, I think, what I'm contemplating here. What are we doing? Why am I thinking so hard? I think I'm trying to decide who I take out, which it has to be Valentine. It's turn 3, so her trait's no longer active, but I swapped Shinsha out because I'm an idiot. Okay, sure. The end result is still the same, I guess. We still get a full 6-hand. Could I have done that in a better way? Oh yeah, totally. I could have not been an idiot like that. Either way, though, we do get a lot of single target orbs for Isis, who again is a single target, but eh. We'll use Veldora. That will reset all the skills that we used up front, which is only pretty much Isis. And it does give us that little tiny bit of magic buff, which does help everybody because they are magic. And now he's guarding. And Milim does how much damage? 3,000? Yeah, that's great. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember that happening, but sure, that definitely works because now we can just bring Shinsha in and we can use all those after we convert them because now the green buff is active, right? Let's use a stack of the extra alt damage and then making sure that we have the green buff on, which we do. So now we'll take Isis out for Trya. We'll convert all of her orbs. We will reset her, I believe. Or do I just take it? Oh, no, I reset her. Okay, so we reset her down to 25 points for her orb steal, orb change, and then we can bring Shinsha in for a full 6-hand, which are technically normal gauge greens, just not normal damage greens. But we'll again use Shinsha's buff, or we'll debuff, to lower his crit resistance, which doesn't matter, but also make sure that greens give us extra skill points. Okay, cheeky counter, cool, awesome. And yeah, we don't do a lot of damage there, especially when we crit. 2,300. This gets us an alt for her, plus some. Alright, that's a decent hand right there. We can swap Shinsha out now, and then hopefully be able... Yeah, we should be able to convert, because we have both Trya and Milim. So here, I should swap out Shinsha after we use another stack of the extra alt damage. So now that's up to 40%. And... okay, I can do that too. That works. But that skill is also max or higher cost, so... okay, well, I guess I take it, just because it's 1 cost versus 2 skills that I have to reset later on. Again, either way, it works. We get an alt for Milim, that's good. And we are, every time we use a skill, building up our magic damage from Veldora, so we should almost be capped out now. 6 turns in. I'm not quite sure, we'll have to check that. That's an interesting hand. I mean, we're going to take one of them, actually, so it's not as bad. So, alt buff, and okay, we don't have enough for the dark buff yet, so we need to wait one more turn. So we just need to send some orbs. Alright, so 135, that should be enough to use the 55-point alt buff, and the, I think right now it's 50% dark, oh, that's unfortunate. A 50% dark buff on Shinsha. Alright, she has a double alt now, which I guess is fine. But yeah, we had to take that alt because we had no one to cancel it out. So that's why we took so much damage there. But we have triple alt here, and we have enough points, and everyone is dark up front, so that helps. And then Veldora is at 60. Oh, okay. So we needed to use 2 more skills to get him maxed out, but we didn't have any to use. So we're going to pray that this kills, and this whole entire hand of Milim, who does have an extra attack buff as well, because it's attached to the alt buff. Valentine does 70k. That's good for an AoE. Shinsha does 101k. Okay, well that means he's dead. If she does 101k, Milim's gonna do like 150 or something. Alright? Oh, just about. Okay, well there we go. That is the Dark 2.0 team clearing EX3 for that last Ranga dupe. This is the end of the video as well, so we've had the Goddess of Destiny team, we had the World of Fantasy team, and now we've had the Dark team, and I think the Dark team is, I don't know about the easiest, but it's probably the most consistent because there's a lot of damage buffs and it allows you to do a lot rather than trying to rely on follow-up attacks or critting, which you don't want to crit with the Frey team, but it's kind of hard to not to crit. So that's going to do it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, but that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.